Tinder can be the most magical thing on the planet as long as you don't have any sort of an expectation for it. And then you just meet the most magical creatures on the face of the planet. And I'm still Facebook friends with half of them. Like,
but not real friends.
No, well, I mean,
I have used Match.com, The Onion Dating, which is a thing.
I am on OkCupid. My mom has invested in putting me on Match because it costs money and I refuse to pay for it.
Primarily OkCupid. I was on Hinge very briefly. I was like, one is enough. One dating app is enough.
Friend Nicole set me up on this dating site called Too Many Fish, I think.
Plenty of fish?
Plenty of fish.
Too many fish.
Yeah.
I'm on Grindr and Scruff because apparently sometimes you meet a boyfriend there. I'm on Bumble, Tinder, Coffee Meets Bagel. I was looking for a caffeinated Jew, but apparently I'm the only one that's there. No, everything. Every app. I'm on all of them.
I was so against Tinder. Little backstory, like super against it. And then one night my roommate's like, can I just make one for you? And maybe I had some alcohol, I don't remember. But I was like, fine, just go for it. So she did, and it was super fun though. It's a fun game to play.
I always think that like all this stuff kind of dates back to personals culture, which I've never done, but it's kind of like the same principle to me. So like I've used a few of them, but like I've honestly had like met some people through like Facebook. Some people slide in my DMs on Instagram.
I don't think I've been in a relationship pretty much since the 3rd grade. I think I'm a serial relationship person. But every time I break up or I'm in between relationships, I with no shame, slut about. Like, that is what I do. It's like I'm in the monogamous relationship with one person and then I just like go crazy and then I get right back into it.
Am I a romantic? Absolutely. I'm from a very traditional Italian family. Mama raised me to wine and dine and write the letters and get the gifts.
yes, I would definitely say I'm a romantic. Yes.
Sure, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. When I'm not feeling dead inside.
I do not believe in love at first sight, but I also think the rom-com version of Love We Are Sold is a lie.
I had a total of 2 OkCupid profiles, and both of them I would go through periods of like being on it and being active, and then I would just disable it and I just wouldn't be on it for a month or 3 months, and then I'd be like, all right, cool, nothing dating is happening in the real world, let's go back and give this a shot again.
It was so addicting too, which was bad. You know, because then you are sucking all this time into like the swiping game and you're playing a game.
Like at the moment, I don't have any apps on my phone whatsoever because, you need a break. Sometimes you're like, oh God, fuck it. I'm like, I need to exist out in the world, right?
Have any, like, even the slightest level of desperation. If you are all like I need a baby, I need to get married by this point, like, don't do Tinder.
I did apply for eHarmony when I was in college, and it turns out that if you are a particularly independent or willful woman, they don't want you on their site. So I did not qualify to be on eHarmony. Yeah, I'm a winner.
I would go on dates with new people that, like strangers. I would know whether or not we were going on a second date or I'd be down for a second date pretty soon, I would say, like within a half an hour, I would know. And every so often there would be somebody that was like borderline, like, okay, maybe. And then you go out on the second date and then you know pretty much immediately, I would say. Some people are growers and some people aren't, you know what I'm saying?
I went on a date once, I think it was a first date, and we were gonna go to the movies, and that apparently turned into we're watching a movie in his apartment on his computer on his bed. And I was like, you know what? I gotta go. I am not cool with that. That's not okay. And then he kind of like flipped out and sent me a text when I was on my way out about like, I overreacted and I should give him a chance. And I was like, no, that's completely inappropriate.
When I got out of high school, I got out of a really bad breakup with a girl that I was only dating for a month, but I was fairly new to relationships because no one ever gave me the time of day. So this was my first relationship, and when it ended, I was devastated. I remember all the things I was willing to do just to get any girl. I remember there was one girl that she responded to me. She was like, "I don't speak English very well," and I was so ready for a date that I offered to teach her English.
I was on the second date with this guy, and we ordered dessert, and it comes out, and I don't know what he did, but he asked them to write "Thank you, beautiful" on the dessert. And there was like a candle. I was like, it's not my birthday, so I don't know what's going on right now. And then I pretended that I enjoyed it because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. You know, he was one of those guys. You're like, okay, I can't hurt you too bad. It was just like, I was like, this is very weird.
There was one time I went on one where the guy was just like, the trains just sucked, and like the very first thing he said to me when I got there, he's like, "You're late," and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna I tend to be late a lot, so you're not gonna like me."
I was running late. I was like a half an hour, which is the story of my life. She hit me up when I was on my way there, and I was gonna be there in another couple of minutes. And she said, "I've been waiting for half an hour. I'm leaving." And I had to call her and beg her not to leave. That sort of set the precedent for the rest of the date. And I remember there was this moment, I guess, where when I got there, she sort of, I guess, shed the anger at me being late. But I got there and I was completely uninterested in this girl. I really was. So I remember, what can I do to make her not interested in me, but that doesn't necessarily, make me seem like a complete asshole. So I just started talking about how heartbroken I was and how much I couldn't stop thinking about my ex-girlfriend, and that pretty much did the trick.
I was on a second date with this nerdy guy I had found on the internet. He seemed pretty cool. I knew that his roommate was a woman, fine, whatever, and I knew he had a recent ex where things had gone very well, but she wanted babies strongly and soon, and he did not, and that was the main reason they broke up. I did not know that these were the same person. Our second date went well. We ended up going back to my place. Some fun was had, and then his phone rang. And it was his lady roommate who was upset. She woke up that she had a nightmare where her grandma died, and he left my bed in the middle of the night to go from Queens to Brooklyn to comfort his ex. Then he asked me for a third date after that. No. And then a year after that, he messaged me, checking up on how I was doing, back on OkCupid, not with my number.
I mean, I don't know how it is in straight dating, but again, in gay dating, there's so many, like, you know how they used to have, like, first base, second base, third base? Like, first base is, like, the match, and then second base is, does one of you message? And then, like, does the other person message back? And do you talk for 5 minutes and never talk again? And by the time you get to the first date, I feel like you're basically ready to get married already, unless something awful has gone wrong.
I was dating this guy who was really, really sweet. We went on a couple of dates. He dug what I was dishing, which is great. I was going out on the prowl with a couple of lady friends, went to this bar, and he was there. And I was like, oh crap, I'm on the prowl. I'm like out to meet some people, and this guy's here, and he's cramping my style, and I'm not that into him, but I'm too much of a coward to tell him. And so I went to the bathroom with my lady friend, and I was like, how do we shake this guy? I gotta shake this guy, I feel bad. And this other woman was in the bathroom. We're all like commiserating, lady talk in the bathroom, and she leaves first, and then I leave, and I noticed that she was his friend. They were together, and she immediately told him all the shit talking I did in the bathroom, and I felt so awful for this guy, and he played it off well, but he definitely was like, I think I ended up dumping him on the phone a couple of days later, but yeah, he still tried to go out on another date. Yeah.
No, my family's amazing. They're very much trying to get me married off. They want me to come home with like a husband so they can like love them and cook them meals and all that sort of thing. So it creates added pressure because they all want to know where my husband is. And I want to know that too. But most guys I date, they're like, oh, I'm in the closet, or like, oh, it's weird with my family, and I'm like, my mom already knows everything about you and is asking when you're coming home.